Hi, everybody. Ross Porter checking in. 6 men have been elected into baseball's Hall of Fame as the result of votes cast by two committees. Joining us today is our good friend, who was one of 16 people asked to vote as a member of the Golden Days Era Committee. Hall of Fame, Dodger Spanish Radio Network announcer Jaime Jarrín. Great to see you, Jaime.
Good to see you, Ross. Fantastic, fantastic. How are you?
Just doing well, and what an honor for you to be invited to be on that committee. The finalists were from the era of 1957 to 1972. How many days in advance did you know that you were going to be on that committee?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, Ross, that it was a great honor for me to be selected to this very exclusive committee. Baseball has given me so many accolades and everything, but this one has to be one of the top accolades that I have received to be a member of this outstanding committee. I was informed about the selection of my name about 2 weeks before the election, but they told me that please don't say anything until few days. We're going to hold this information until probably 6 or 5 days before the election, because we don't want it for you to be overwhelmed with information from people that wanted to this or that candidate. So for sure, I was aware of that for let's say for a week.
Yeah, the Golden Days Committee had to get together, and they did it in Orlando, Florida. What day did you leave Los Angeles to go down there?
I left on Saturday because we had a meeting on Saturday night at a dinner, because they wanted us to get together and to know each other. And of course, I know most of them, practically all of them, other 15 members of the committee. Do you want me to give the names of them?
No, you don't have to. I think that you're the one that counts. Hey, we have a photo of you on our website of you seated on the airplane on the way to Orlando. And it was a great photo. And what really got me amused was the fact that you'd pulled the tray down in front of you on the airplane, and you had all these papers on the tray. And they were all because of the information you wanted to learn about the candidates. And you said you had 5 hours on the flight to be able to digest all that. And that must have been a lot of fun for you.
It was a thick binder that I got it, and I started studying everyone. I knew most of the candidates, the 10 candidates, but I had to study them in more and more in detail to see the numbers, the stats, and everything. So I had 5 hours in the plane. Nobody was around, so I was able to really study every one of them, because I know it's a big responsibility to select who is going to the Hall of Fame, because the Hall of Fame is like the Nobel Prize. There's nothing in our industry. There is nothing higher than the Hall of Fame. And to select who is going to go there, some of them have waited 10, 11, 12, 15 years. Some of them has been through hell, getting short by 1 or 2 votes in the past. So it was a very delicate job, and I wanted to do a complete job and to do well. And I was able to work very well with Mike Schmidt, the former third baseman of the Phillies, who is a Hall of Famer. Ozzie Smith was there sitting next to me. He, of course, is another Hall of Famer. Ferguson Jenkins was the other one, and Bud Selig was there, and he looks better than he was the commissioner.
I want to say something right now before we proceed any further.
Yes.
There were 10 finalists. Each committee member was allowed to vote for only 4 on his ballot. A finalist had to receive 12 of the 16 total votes from the committee to be elected, 75%.
Yes.
Now, it would not be proper for me to ask Jaime the names of the 4 men he voted for. And so do not expect me to pose that question to him. You said that you pretty much made your mind up, though, on the flight. Is that right?
Yes.
You had the 4 in mind? You had the 4 in mind that you thought you'd vote for before you got off the plane?
Yes, yes. After 5 hours of studying, I knew who was going to get my vote. I will tell you one name from the beginning I thought that I should be voting for. It's Gil Hodges
Yeah.
because I knew him, and not because I am with the Dodgers and he was with the Dodgers, nothing like that. But he was really a fantastic ball player, a gentleman all the way, and he should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a one name. But let me tell you that I was able to vote for all the ones that was inducted.
Oh, you got all the winners.
Yes, yes.
So that would be Gil Hodges. Minnie Minoso got the most votes. He got 14. Gil got 12. Tony Oliva got 12. And Jim Cott got 12. They hit it right on the nose. They could not have afforded not to have a vote. And Dick Allen, another former Dodger, missed by one vote. He had 11.
No, I was surprised that he wasn't selected because before we voted, we had to go through each and every one of them with all the information that the historians gave us there. And I was positive sure that Dick Allen will be elected because everybody spoke so brilliantly about.
Well, yeah, and also, Jaime, the last vote of this committee on these finalists, Dick Allen got 11 votes that time, so he was only one shy. So you think he would get it?
Yeah. I don't. Who did I vote for him? I don't know who didn't vote for him, but one of the problems that he told me is that many of the electors don't select more than one or two or three. Then that makes more difficult
Yeah.
votes. But in this case, Jane Clark, the chairman of the Hall of Fame, was conducting the meeting. She was so pleased that most of us vote for all four.
Yeah. Did she ask you to vote for four? Was that one of her?
When they didn't ask us, there was no politics, no pressure at all. They said, vote for the ones that you think deserves to be there.
Yeah.
And so practically all of them selected four, I understand. Very few less than four.
You got there Saturday night. Did you have your first meeting of the committee Saturday night? Have dinner together?
This was the first that was a very social meeting. The work was done on Sunday, starting in 8:30 in the morning. And we devoted the whole morning, and we finished at about, I think it was at 2:00 when they took the vote. And Jane Clark told us that after she went away and after consulting with some of the people there, they gave us the number of selected.
Yeah, so you knew who the winners were at that time. Jaime, did each of the 10 finalists get about equal time when the discussions came about them?
No, because it was up to us to talk about the length of our participation. Some of people talk at length. One thing that really surprised me, I noticed right away that Maury Wills wasn't going to get the number of votes because practically nobody spoke about him. Nobody inquired about him. Really, I was surprised. I was shocked. I thought he was going to be one of the top vote getters, but no. Everybody just passed him. They didn't say a word when Jane Clark said, "Okay, now it's Maury Wills' turn." So everyone started talking about him, but most of them just passed. Then I said, "He's in trouble. He's in trouble." Because I sensed that from the beginning.
Yeah, I mentioned the 5 who either got in or almost got in. The other 5, all of them got 3 or fewer votes. And that's what you're talking about. You were surprised that Maury didn't get more than 3. Maury had a situation a few years ago when the vote came. He got 9 votes, so he came within 3. And Maury's 89 years old, living in Arizona, and we were hopeful that he would get in. So I guess, Jaime, all of the information, the statistics of the careers, everything had been made available to you. It was easy for you to do that. What
Yes.
was the character of the 10 men ever discussed?
Not much. Uh, more much. There was more attention paid to the numbers, to the records, to what they have done in the field. Very few, very few words about the backgrounds of them, the private life of them. Nothing. Very few people talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Historian.
Any negative comments about a finalist at all?
No, no. I didn't hear one negative comment. Nothing. I know the silence, but no negative comments.
Yeah.
Just silence.
Yeah.
I wish I could have voted for more than 4. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Because all of them have great numbers. Great. It was a very close, I will say, between Gil Hodges and Jim Gott and Jim Gott.
Mm-hmm.
It was very close. It was one of the two. It was one of the two, and I think my vote decided the fate of Gil Hodges because I was the last one to vote.
Mm-hmm. Were you?
And yes, and
Now, was this done? Did you write out your vote? Did you write it out on paper with the 4, or did you do it vocally?
Mm-hmm,
You did it on paper. Wrote it. Yeah. Well, another committee also met in Orlando the same weekend. They voted 2 former Negro League stars, Buck O'Neill and Bud Fowler, into Cooperstown. So there were a total of 6 in all that were chosen, and they'll be inducted in July at Cooperstown. It's going to be a pretty large field back in Cooperstown because you're going to have the ones who were selected last year, but because of COVID could not be inducted. And then they're going to have the vote coming up in January for this year's contenders or candidates. And so it's going to be a large field back there.
The only thing is that, unfortunately, only 2 of the ones that we vote, only 2 of the 6 will be there. Only Tony Oliva,
right,
and Kat.
Jim Cott, yeah, right.
They passed away.
Yeah.
I wish they could shorten the time of waiting for the voting, because I would like to see them to go there when they are leaving.
Mm-hmm.
When they
well, of course, Manny Minoso and Tony Oliva are from Cuba, and I think they're the 5th and 6th Cubans to go into the Hall of Fame. But Jaime, you have to be proud of the fact that there are now 17 Latin members of the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yes. Well, Latinos have been, especially in the last few years, Latinos have been a very important part of baseball, and the community, the Latino community, has supported baseball like no other segment of the public of the population. The Latinos are very sports-minded people, and they really support baseball. I was talking about that with Batsili, and he said, "You are right, Jaime. You're right, Jaime. Probably we don't appreciate how much the Latinos have helped baseball, expand baseball."
I want to mention right now how instrumental you have been as the Dodger Spanish Network radio announcer for 63 years, to have brought the Latin fans to Dodger Stadium. I think the figures, and correct me if I'm wrong, at one time, the Dodgers only had 6% of Latin fans come to the games.
Yes.
And they're right at 50% now. Is that correct?
Between 42 and 46%, I understand.
Well, who's counting?
A huge jump, as you can see, from 8% to 42, 46%. And, the things that in the early years of the Dodgers here, I could see the Latinos only in the top deck on the bleachers there. But
right.
Now, Latinos are everywhere. When I take my break in the 4th inning, I go around and I see there, and sometimes I hear more Spanish than English inside Dodger Stadium, and I see Latinos in every level of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't like that. Another thing, when I started with the Dodgers in the late 50s and early 60s, the majority of Latinos coming to Dodger Stadium, coming to watch baseball, were Mexicans,
Mm-hmm.
born in Mexico.
Mm.
Very few Central Americans, very
Mm-hmm.
few South Americans,
Mm-hmm.
uh, mostly Mexicans. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's Mexican Americans,
Yeah.
Mexican
And
Americans more than Mexicans nationals.
did
Uh,
that all change, Jaime, when Fernando Valenzuela came up in 1979, late in
oh,
the
yes,
year?
oh yes, oh yes. Fernando was something very unique because he created so many new fans. And
Yeah.
we had to teach them baseball because many times they will call me and say, Jaime, what do you mean when you said he is out from 6 to 3? And I said, I used to say, look, every player has a number. The pitch number 1, catch number 2, first baseman number 3. So if ball goes to number 6, it's a shortstop, number 6, and he throws to first baseman, it's number 3. That's why he is out from 6 to 3.
Yeah.
Well, that to teach them, and they follow Fernando so much. Our ratings at KTNQ.
Yeah.
We talk about ratings on if an station now has 2 or 3 points. It's fantastic. We had a rating of 8.6 on
Wow.
KTNQ.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
And I was surprised to hear this recently. Fernando has now spent 18 years in the broadcast booth with the Dodgers. 18.
Yes, yes. I have been very fortunate to be with him, when he joined the Dodgers.
1959 was a special year for you, Jaime. It was the first really full-time season that you were with the Dodgers as a broadcaster. The Dodgers won the World Series that year over the White Sox after they lost the first game 11-0. They won it in 6 games. And first baseman Gil Hodges hit 25 home runs and drove in 80 runs for the Dodgers that season. That was the 11th straight year that he hit between 22 and 42 home runs. You talked briefly about Gil, his magnificent talent, but his great character and what he meant to so many people. Any other stories about him that come to mind?
Not especially because I was extremely shy. It was my first year, 1959. I was very green. I was a rookie there, so I was afraid to approach those big names. But I was able to communicate very well with Duke Snyder, P.U. Reese, and Gil Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
Among the three of them, probably Gil Hodges was the quieter of them, but he was very solid as a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
He was very, very serious of his business.
Mm-hmm.
Played first base with all the energy that you can have it.
Yeah.
And he was extremely a family man.
Yeah.
He introduced me to his wife, and she was alive, still is, still alive.
Joan is 95 years old, and I hope she knows about this.
Yes, she knows that. She knows that. The chairman of the board, Mrs. Clark, was able to talk to her.
Yeah.
She told us that she was very weak,
Mm.
couldn't talk much, but she noticed that she was very, very pleased. She
Oh
was
yeah.
happy. And she called right away one of the daughters, and she's the one that really expressed her feelings to Jane Clark.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful.
Coming back.
Jaime, you've had some time now to think about your distinguished experience on this committee. You mentioned earlier you thought there should be more than 4 votes per committee member. Any other changes you'd like to see?
I would like to see them being in person at the Hall of Fame, at the ceremony of induction, because most of them I have died. Of course, the family still rejoices very much about this, but there is nothing like being there. I can tell you because I was there. My
Yeah.
election was 1998, And it is the most glorious weekend that you can have it, because it's not only for you, it's for your family. I remember my wife being there, my sons were there, my grandson was there, about 50 people, neighbors and friends who came to Cooperstown. And it is a very, very special weekend. You stay at the gorgeous hotel, the Orihara Hotel. It's fantastic hotel, great, and they treat you like a king. So
Mm.
it's so special that weekend in Cooperstown that I wished every inductee should be there in person.
Right.
And how long do they have to wait until they are considered for this committee, Ross?
Mhm.
11 years, something like that?
Yeah, yeah. You have to wait until you're out of baseball for 5 years before
That's the
you're
place.
considered, and then you have to have played in the major leagues for at least 10 years.
Yes.
Now,
So
Sandy Koufax was different because he got out in 1966 at the age of 30, and they put him in, I think, in 72. I think he was 36 years old when he went in. I think, and Mark Langell, who's the Dodger historian, told me this the other day. He thinks that Sandy is probably the oldest. When you think about it, he's been in the Hall of Fame almost 50 years.
another one that was right away inducted, that was an exception, is Roberto Clemente, because
Yes, yes. Money was another one.
because the way he died.
That's
So,
right.
yes,
And he went in immediately, didn't he? They did that within 1 year.
but I would like to see if they shorted the time. For the players, no, that's 5 years, it's fine. For the Veterans Committee, it
Yeah.
is, I think, 11 or 15 years, something like that. I think that's wrong, because I would like to see them enjoy what it is being in Cooperstown. It's
Absolutely.
unbelievable. And
Absolutely.
also, I would like to see uh, 10 candidates, it's fine. 10 candidates, okay, but let us vote for at least 5, because
Mhm.
4 is too few. And
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to fight really, really hard. And you feel strange. You feel sad that you can't vote for
Yeah.
the
More
next
people. Yeah.
for the next candidate. So I hope they increase the number of people we consider it, and the shortened time. I wish I could have voted for 10 of them, because
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
deserves their, everyone great, great credentials.
Jaime, thanks for sharing with us. Next year will be your 64th and final season as a Dodger announcer. You brought so much credit to the game with your personality, your friendliness, your knowledge of the game, and the fact that you have been as steady as anybody. And we congratulate you on a very fantastic career.
Ross, thank you very much. You have been a great colleague. I appreciate you so much. I love you, because we are in verdad. You and your wife, Lynn. It was a great family. Still a great family among us. I was able to speak with Lynn yesterday, and I told him about what went on the in Orlando. And because he was backing Gil Hodges so much, and he thanked me for both for Gil Hodges.
Yeah, he
So
was. I talked to him the day that you had the vote, and he thought it was going to be on Monday. I said, no, no, no. Today, 3 o'clock. Get on, get on the MLB network and see it. And you're right. Vin felt so strongly for so many years about Gil Hodges in the Hall of Fame. It was really a personal victory for him, I think, too.
that's the way I noticed that when I spoke with him yesterday. It was a big relief for him,
Yeah.
and he was really happy, because he was probably one of the closest players that he had. Jackie Robinson was very close to him also, but I think he had a special place in his heart for Gil Hodges, because
Yes, he
Hodges
did.
was a great gentleman. He was a gentleman all the way, very, very, at the same time, very strong, but very soft spoken. He was very unique. And as a ball player, he was fantastic. The numbers are there. So I am glad that I was able to vote for him, and I was able to see that he got the 12 votes to go to Cooperstown, because he deserves to be there. And the only thing that he won't be there. That's the only problem. And I hope that most of the inductees should be there. That will be, but it's probably too much to ask.
Jaime, many, many thanks. Stay in
Thank
touch, stay in good health, and we will see you along the way.
It was a pleasure to talk with you all the time. Call me anytime, please.
The great Jaime Jarrín.